Hello, welcome to Biology, the scientific study of life. The human population is disrupting chemical cycles through the biosphere. As the human population has grown in size, our activities and technological capability have disrupted the trophic structure, energy flow, and chemical cycling of ecosystems in most areas of the world. The effects are sometimes local or regional, but the ecological impact of humans can even be global. Nutrient enrichment. Human activity often intrudes in nutrient cycles by removing nutrients from one part of the biosphere and adding them of another. On the simplest level, someone eating a piece of broccoli in Washington, D.C. is consuming nutrients that only days before might have been in the soil in California, and a short time later, some of these nutrients will be in the Potomac River on their way to the sea, having passed through the individual's digestive system and the local sewage facilitated on a larger scale. Nutrients in farm soil may, uh, may run off into streams and lakes, resulting in nutrients depletion in one area, excesses in another, and the disruption of the natural chemical cycles in both locations. Furthermore, in addition to transporting nutrients from one location to another, humans have added entirely new materials, many of them toxic, to ecosystems. Humans have intruded on nutrient cycle to such an extent that is no longer possible to understand any cycle without taking these effects into account. Let's examine a few specific examples of how humans are impacting the biosphere's chemical dynamics. Agricultural and nitrogen cycling. After natural vegetation is cleared from an area, the existing reserve of nutrients in the soil is sufficient to grow a crop for some time without nutrient supplementation. However, in agricultural ecosystems, a substantial fraction of these nutrients is not recycled but is exported from the area in the form of a crop biomass. The free period for crop production, when there is no need to add nutrients to the soil, varies greatly. When some of the early North American prairie lands were first tilled, for example, good crops could be produced for many years because the large store of organic materials in the soil continued to decompose and to provide nutrients. By contrast, some cleared land in the tropics can be farmed for only 1 or 2 years because so little of the ecosystem's nutrient load is contained in the soil. Despite such variations in any area under intensive agriculture, and natural store of nutrients eventually becomes exhausted. Nitrogen is the main nutrient lost through agriculture. Thus, agriculture has a great impact on the nitrogen cycle. Plowing and mixing the soil are processes that increase the decomposition rate of organic matter, releasing a usable nitrogen that is then removed from the ecosystem. When crops are harvested, industrially synthesized fertilizer is then used to make up for the loss of usable nitrogen from agricultural ecosystems. In addition, as we saw in the case of Hubbard Brook, without plans to take up nitrates from the soil, the nitrates are likely to be leached from the ecosystems. Recent studies indicate that human activities have approximately doubled Earth's supply of fixed nitrogen available to primary producers. The main cause is industrial nitrogen fixation for fertilizers, but increased cultivation of legumes with their nitrogen fixing symbionts is also important. In addition, the deliberate burning of fields after harvest, as well as burning to clear tropical forests for agriculture, releases nitrogen compounds stored in soil and vegetation, thereby enhancing nitrogen cycling. Excessive supplements of fixed nitrogen are also associated with a greater release of N2 and nitrogen oxides into the air by denitrifying bacteria. Nitrogen oxides can contribute to atmospheric warming to be a depletion of atmospheric ozone and in some ecosystems to acid precipitation. Contamination of aquatic ecosystems. The key problem with excess nitrogen seems to be a critical load, the amount of added nutrient, usually nitrogen or phosphorus, that can be absorbed by plants without damaging ecosystem integrity. Nitrogenous minerals in the soil that exceed the critical load eventually leach into groundwater or run off directly into fresh water and marine ecosystem, contaminating water supplies, choking waterways, and killing fish. Many rivers contaminated with nitrates and ammonium from agriculture runoff and sewage drain into the North Atlantic Ocean, with the highest nitrogen inputs coming from northern Europe. Groundwater concentrations of nitrate are also increasing in agricultural areas, sometimes exceeding the maximum level considered safe for drinking water, 10 milligram of nitrate per liter. Lakes are classified by nutrients availability as oligotrophic or eutrophic. In an oligotrophic lake, primary productivity is relatively low because the mineral nutrients required by phytoplankton are scarce in other lakes. Basin and watershed characteristics result in the addition of more nutrients. These nutrients are captured by the primary producers and then continuously recycled through the lake's food webs. Thus, the overall productivity is higher in lakes that are eutrophic. Human intrusion has disrupted freshwater ecosystems by what is termed cultural eutrophication, sewage and factory wastes, run of animals, waste from pastures and stockyards, and the leaching of fertilizer from agricultural recreational and urban areas have all overloaded many streams, rivers, and lakes with inorganic nutrients. This enrichment often results lake with inorganic nutrients in an explosive increase in the density of photosynthetic organisms whose population growth is generally limited by either